Is there ever a good time for a crash out? I mean, in the words of Popeye the Sailor Man, he said, I've stood all I could stand. Now I can't stand no more. Have you ever been to the point, you guys, where you've told yourself, you know what, I'm going to keep my cool? But people kept pushing. They kept just poking the bear. And it got to the point where you had to say something. You had to do something. And you were in the right, but you weren't trying to be right. You were just trying to be at peace. You just wanted to be left alone. You just wanted to just go about minding your own business. But sometimes people will just keep needling you until you have to do something. It is called a righteous indignation. Sometimes that crash out is coming. And people want to see you. They want to see you cut the bug. They want to see you show your backside. But instead of getting the crash out, instead of that righteous indignation, you offer them another offering, a peace. Are you wrong when you do that? Do you feel like you had to bite your lip and swallow your pride a little bit, and swallow your soul? But sometimes it just bubbles up and it comes. Is there a thin line in between, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, guys and dolls? I think it's a good question. And I think that you should have the answer to it already. But if you don't, then you've come to the right place. So come on, cousins, and let's pod about it.
In a world fraught with confusion, one man will break his silence.
Welcome to the funkiest show this side of the Pecos, ladies and gentlemen. Who am I? Man, I'm Terry Patrick. I'm your tour guide and your liaison for this journey that we call life. And boy, welcome to the summer also. 2025. We're in the thick of June right now. And I hope you enjoyed my previous podcast called Papa's Got a Brand New Bag. And I hope that somebody got out there and celebrated Juneteenth. But Juneteenth is not really that happy celebratory type of holiday. It's a solemn look back at the tragedy and the travesties that befell upon the African-American Black people. It's kind of like Memorial Day, in my opinion. You don't say happy Memorial Day. Happy day your dad died. No, that's not something that you do on Juneteenth. You look back and you remember, and yeah, it is a self-reflection. And now here we are in the thick of June, and I'm going to tell you, it is hot everywhere. Tempers fly when the temperatures go up. And you got to learn how to keep your cool. And a person who taught me how to keep my cool was my mom. My mom, boy, she didn't bite her tongue, but I tell you what, it's like she used to say, I don't chew my cabbage twice. So when she going to say what she have to say, she's going to do it. So I got to give it up for Pops and Fat Mama. Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the people who brought me into this world, and they told me, stand on business. They didn't put it like that. My parents have been gone for a while, and that's a relatively new slang or terminology. Now they say stand up for yourself. Don't let nobody push you around, because you know why? Running, it gets easier when you keep ducking a fight. When you keep running away from one, and then it just gets easier and easier until pretty soon you do not resemble who you really are, unless that's your true character. We're talking about a righteous indignation. It's biblical. It is something that you have known they have did to you. It was unfair when they did it. And then you had to stand up, whether it was you by yourself or a bunch of other people that got your back. But sometimes you got to be 10 toes down and stand on your lonely when nobody else has your back. I just heard a story that is going around. I think it happened about a week ago from today. You know, because I always do this podcast on Wednesdays, and I do that for a purpose. And about a week ago, was a story in Wilson, North Carolina, or South Carolina, one of those Carolinas, but it was a car care company. You know, mechanic. And they were clowning. They were just sitting around joking about Juneteenth. And they were talking about it in a way that it just seemed like they were just either uninformed or intentionally ignorant. You gonna have Google? They're like, what is Juneteenth? Why the banks are closed? Okie dokie. I guess it got something to do with reparations. Ha ha ha. I know, huh? Yeah, well, you don't have Google. You don't have the opportunity or one iota of time to say, I want to know what this is about. No. You'd rather be ignorant and rather just try to make other people feel uncomfortable. But that woman, I gotta give her a round of applause. Let me give her a round of applause real quick, because that is what you're supposed to do. That is exactly what you're supposed to do. You are supposed to say, you know what? I'm not going to spend my business here where people hate me. You don't want me here. You just want my money. You don't like my presence. You don't like me to stand here, but you want me to pay you while you clown me. See, she walked out of there. And when she did, she said, just give me my truck. Give me my keys, burgundy Tahoe. I'll take that. And I'm gone. And after she left, people were like, I don't know what it means. You never took a single moment to try to understand either. You were ignorantly blissed. You were happily stupid to just not know. I know what Arbor Day is. Yes, I do know what it is. It's about trees, and you plant a tree and so you can try to keep the oxygen alive in the world. Yeah, we all have holidays. I mean, Christopher Columbus Day. Celebrating the day, you know, and Italian Americans, they love that day. Yes, they get out and they celebrate Columbus. There's a group, I believe, they're called the Knights of Columbus. They have a lot of pride and they have a lot of respect for Columbus. And there are others who say Columbus never discovered America. He is celebrated for getting lost and did not make it to the Americas. And when they got here, they thought he was in India. He thought he was in India, so he named Native Americans Indians. But no, they are not Indians. They're the indigenous people. And then we got St. Patrick's Day, known for the Irish celebrate St. Patty's Day with some green beer, and I think they turn the river or the lake, turn it green, and it's an Irish holiday. And it's known for where people are celebrating St. Patrick, who ran the snakes out of Ireland. Now, there's where it gets a little bit fuzzy, isn't it? Is it real snakes, or were the snakes that St. Patrick ran out were actually people who were evildoers? And we call them snakes. And St. Patrick ran them out, and they celebrate that day. You know, many other days. And there's a big controversy from the Latin community, Hispanics, about Cinco de Mayo. They say Cinco de Mayo was not the independence. It was the Battle of Puebla. So there is some controversy. There's some Latinos and Hispanics and Mexicans out there. They don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo. And there's some Black people who don't celebrate Juneteenth. And there's some of them who probably don't even know. Here's what I believe. Here's how I feel about it. And I have a righteous indignation when it comes to that. Because nobody is free until we are all free. I mean, we celebrate 4th of July, which is right around the corner. It's the freedom and the independence of a nation, but we aren't all free, were we? So how do we celebrate freedom when you were not free? That means, okay, Irish, celebrate St. Patty's Day. Okay, Italians, celebrate Christopher Columbus Day. Okay, Hispanics, Mexicans, and people of all Hispanic culture, if you want to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, go right ahead. And if you want to celebrate the 4th of July, cool, go right ahead. But we weren't all free. If one of us is enslaved, then no one was free. And just keep this in mind, what the Revolutionary War was fought over. It was fought over a tariff. Yes, they put a tax on the tea. They put a tariff and a fee on the tea, and the nation went to war on a tariff over one hot beverage. And the first person to die in that Revolutionary War was Crispus Attucks, a black man, died for this country in the Revolutionary War. And now we've been through several wars, including the Civil War, which was about slavery. It was not about state rights. It was about they wanted the right to be able to own slaves, because that free labor is what made that South rich, what made many other nations and parts of America rich. Didn't have to pay nobody. But with that non-payment, it came as different timeouts, and it wasn't the ability to choose either. It came rapes, brutal beatings, hangings, burning, hanging people in effigy, hanging young women upside down who were pregnant and cutting the babies out the belly until the fetus just fell on the ground. It came from insulting and murdering the black man. Buck breaking is what they called it. Yeah, a lot of rape. See, all these lot of holidays got a lot of rape involved. It got a lot of sexual undertones and innuendos and stuff. And sometimes it wasn't no hint. It was downright brutal. Proclamation. Signed. Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, just like the forefathers, they signed the Declaration of Independence, but Abraham Lincoln signed into effect the freedom. But it was just a lofty document. Did not really free everybody. But what it did, it allowed people to be able to move around a little bit. Yeah, they still had people trying to track you down. You were free, but free to go where? Let you out like cows. Free. Yeah, you're free to go. But at the same time, there was some down there in Galveston. Oh, Texas, shame on you. They knew it. They knew it. The news had reached their ears. They were in the Civil War themselves, and they knew that black people were free, would not tell. Now, you see, this has to be a concerted effort. This was a meeting. This was not like, hey, okay, don't tell anybody, neighbor, you down the street, we're not going to tell our people. No, it was the entire area. They had to come together and say, don't tell a soul, or it will be you that will be enslaved. It had to be consequences for the telling, because nobody heard. And that's where they came off the docks in Galveston and told them, what are you guys doing? You guys think you're still slaves? We've been free for 2 years. 2 years you've been free. Man, dude, with that, burn your biscuits. With that. Huh? It's kind of like, the stories of people who've been falsely imprisoned and then come to find out you were supposed to get out of jail 2 years ago. What? I did 2 years for nothing? No, but yeah, the jailer, they knew. The Texans, they knew. They knew what they was doing. And there's something downright facetious about that. Something downright just sinister about that. You knew what you were doing. So we didn't know the exact date of the freedom. It was somewhere in June, somewhere up there in the teens. Yeah, well, it was the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, the 15th. It didn't matter when the word hit the last person who knew they were free. It was in the teenth. So that's where the name came from, Juneteenth. But I'm going to tell you, we've been celebrating it for a long time. Yes, we have. We have been celebrating Juneteenth. I was in California, man. We used to have something called a Texas picnic over in Riverside, California, Fairmount Park, the Texas picnic. But a lot of people, Black people, African Americans, descendants of slaves, we didn't like the word picnic. Because, see, that came from something that was derogatory yourselves. Black people right today, we don't go to picnics. We go to cookouts. Because that picnic, that was when they would just pick a nigga and hang you. Did you know that? Yeah, those same Christians that went to church on Sunday morning with their Sunday best on. After church and before Sunday dinner or whatever, they used to go have these picnics where they used to pick someone innocent. See, it didn't matter because your skin was your sin. Your color was your crime. They would pick someone and they would hang them and burn them while they're sitting there in their Sunday clothes, eating food, sitting out on the grass. And sometimes they had a forced watermelon eating contest to where the losers were whipped. History is brutal in America, and that's why they don't want to teach it to you, because if the truth hurts, but the truth is supposed to be the truth, and the facts don't care about your feelings. No. But that is the mentality of the people of that time. And there were some of them who couldn't make it to the hanging, couldn't make it to the big picnic. And they said, can you bring me back an ear? Yeah, bring me back a nose or something, an eyeball from the burning and the hanging victims. And they keep it in a little jar on the mantle above the fireplace. There's a souvenir. Bring me back bring me back a crisp. Bring me back a little memento. How bizarre and morbid that must be to harbor body parts inside your home and keep those. There's a lot of heirlooms that are out there. Then there's probably some that are still contain said body parts inside of homes today. Yeah, great grandma left us this vase. You look inside of it and you might be shocked, because that's what a picnic was. And then they just go off to Sunday dinner. And sometimes they would just take pictures and have photo ops. Look, me in the dead body. Yeah, and dressed up in my son, and smiles. Even the young kids, they would be there dressed up, smiling. You see, when you picture monsters, you don't picture them in a fancy dress or a three-piece suit. But that all has a mentality. You should have a righteous indignation in 2025 when somebody's sitting there clowning your freedom, clowning the fact that they got 2 extra years out of a lot of other people, and how many other people were not truly free after that time has come and gone. So if you have a little bit of anger, okay, it should be channeled in the right direction. But we got people that are crashing out over a missing slice of cheese on a hamburger, over a parking spot. Yes, over not recognizing a coupon or something. Where is that indignation when you need it? It's misguided, ladies and gentlemen. So here on Word to the Wise, I want you to know that there is such a thing as a righteous indignation. And if you have one, I want you to take your time and know that all people have probably been put through something. So I'm not trying to make that only one race of people have the ability to have a righteous indignation. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am truly saying here is, on this Wednesday, that sometimes you can get to the point where you just crash over nothing? Why you let it build up? I'm talking about emotional intelligence. I'm talking about you stuff stuff down so much that it just comes up to here. And when it does, it has to have some place to go. And sometimes it goes to the person it was not directed to. It was not intended for the person that deserved it. No, we wind up giving it to someone else. Do we give righteous indignation to our own family when it should be directed somewhere else? Those closest to you, do they get your wrath? It happens. I used to work for the California Department of Corrections with a bunch of correctional officers and higher warden and a deputy warden, or all kind of, CEOs and trainers and coaches, and it's a large, vast variety of positions, even those that are in the food service inside the prison. It is so much hate inside the prison that you feel it on your skin and you start to take it home. I just wonder how many people take it out on their loved ones. How many correction officers are taking it home and taking it out on their wives, taking it out on their husband, when it was not intended for them and they got to bear the brunt of that. See, there's a balancing act you do with emotional intelligence, where you start with the brain and you think of it. You can think yourself right into a tizzy fit and something cracks. A conniption is what it is called, to where you maybe an eye twitcher. You get to the point you're just so angry you could fry an egg on the top of your head. A conniption fit. And in that moment when you do that, you are not yourself. It's almost like a drug has been released to the back of your neck, down there in the synapse, somewhere up at the top, maybe around the medulla oblongata, in the frontal lobe, in the cortex, and the brain has the left and the right side. And if all those endorphins, adrenaline rush, hit at the same time because you have stepped it down, it's the same primal urge that we had when you had to fight off a saber-toothed tiger. You needed it, but that primal rage is not needed in a civilized society. Are we truly civilized then? Because we have people who are snapping. I just saw the president, Donald Trump, cussing on TV. He thought he had brokered the deal between Israel and Iran after America shot bombs over there and bombed Iran. And he thought he brokered a deal the next day. You're going to bomb them on one day and tell them, okay, no more bombing. No more bombing. Now there shall be peace. And you thought that they would honor a peace treaty from a treaty breaker? They went to bombing this morning, right back again. And he was mad at Israel. He was mad at Iran. But I think you need to be mad at yourself. Those people, Iran will fight for 100 years. They've been fighting. Israel been in war for almost 1,000. They're going to keep fighting. And it's not any words that's going to change that. So if you have a righteous indignation to the media, it's misdirected. You have no emotional intelligence. You have to get to the point where you can understand. And it takes watching programs like this podcast. See, I believe that you have to be a student of your life. You have to go about having the information that's out there. Nice to say, hey, knowledge is power. I said that for a lot of years. And I still believe that knowledge is power. But a young man told me, he's like, Mr. Terry, now you got applied knowledge. That's what's power. That's what's truly power. It's applied knowledge. You can have the information and do nothing with it. So we got some information for you right here on the screen. Check us out. You can find us at all these different streaming services. But most of all you got to do is put Terry Patrick Podcast. into any search engine, baby, and you'll find Word to the Wise. And if you would like to be a first cousin and you would like to be able to come and donate and support this program, I appreciate it. Anything that you give is appreciated. Nothing is too large and nothing is too small. You can find me here on Zelle, Cash App, and Venmo. But most importantly, I just want you to get the message and spread it. You can't keep what you have unless you give it away. Give this word to somebody else. You do have the opportunity. You do have the obligation and the right to stand up for yourself. And there is such a thing as a righteous indignation. A righteous indignation. That means it's a proper time to crash out. But when? Therein lies the rub, okay? To your own self, be your own judge. And ladies and gentlemen, listen. I want you guys to keep checking out the program. Right here on Word to the Wise, okay? And I'm be out here every single Wednesday, dropping facts and telling you the truth and giving it to you how you should get it. Because I got your back like vertebrae. It's just a jungle out there, is it not? This world is getting crazy. And sometimes we got to get crazy too. Yeah, it might just be crazy out there, and you might be right. I might be crazy, but it just might be a lunatic you're looking for. Take care, you guys.
I hope you like the podcast and you really like the podcast.
Come on, be serious.
And you really like my podcast. Like and subscribe.